Hey everybody, welcome to Heart Tea Ranch. I'm Tammy Yost-Wildin and this is Tammy's Tips. Today we're going to talk about how to properly blanket your horse. So if you've made the decision that your horse needs to be blanketed, then there are a few things to keep in mind. First off, how much hair does the horse have? So if he is in full coat, no clipping, a full winter coat, it depends on the temperature. When our horses are out on the field, not stalled, we're talking about turnout situation. So I start to blanket when it is below 50 degrees in the fall because the horses aren't in full coat yet. As they grow more coat, I generally don't blanket until it's at least 40, gets down to 40 in the evening. Then I start to blanket, and I'll start with a rain sheet. So that's my kind of go-to basic blanket. This is a waterproof shell with no insulation. So when you see sheet, when you're purchasing, know that that means there's no insulation in it. If it's not waterproof and it's raining, you're going to get that horse wet underneath of it, and then they're going to be even colder because it's squashing that hair layer down, just like we talked about in a previous video. So make sure that if you are sheeting your horse in turnout, it needs to be a weatherproof sheet. As the temperature gets colder, I start to consider putting a liner under it. You could also go to a medium weight blanket. When we're talking about the weights, there's a sheet, there's 100, 150 gram fill, depends on the blanket company that you're dealing with. There's around 200, 250 gram fill, which is what we consider a medium weight. Anything over 300 grams of fill is heavyweight. And then you can even get heavier gram filling than that for horses that are completely body clipped. And I am talking about turnout. You're talking about stabling horses. You don't necessarily have to have the waterproof exterior like we do for turnout. All of my horses live outside, I don't stall. So every blanket that we put horses in the field with is waterproof. So when I'm using a rain sheet and going to layer, which I love to do, gives me a lot more mileage out of a sheet instead of having to have like 4 different blankets for every horse, which of course my Twinkle Toes Ringo does anyway, but I will use a back on track ceramic sheet as a liner. I love that, but there's also lots of different brands of quilted liners of varying weights that allow you to increase the insulation with your rain sheet and extend your use of that. So when I have horses that require more weight of fill, that would be horses with a short coat or horses that are body clipped, then we move on to either a medium weight or heavyweight turnout blanket. So again, this particular one is a Schneider. We have all brands here. I'm not sponsored by any blanket brands. A lot of times it just depends on what works best on a particular horse for fit. But this is a heavyweight. It has 350 grams of fill, I believe. Waterproof, wonderful for turnout. 1200 denier. So when we're talking about denier, anything under 1200 is going to be light play, not really durable for if they're in a group turned out. I also find that they wear and stay waterproof a lot longer if they're at least 1200 denier. That's just my personal take on it. So take a look at the different companies. You can get a perfectly great blanket for under $100. You don't have to spend $400. The more expensive blankets sometimes do tend to fit better. It just depends. But some of the things you want to watch for is if a blanket is not gusseted, like this one is, that's this opening at the shoulders, it's probably going to rub your horse. So I prefer gusseted, and keep in mind the shape of his shoulders. So most good blanket companies, Schneider, Pessoa, Rambo, Weatherbita, they're all great. They have fitting guides to decide what style is going to fit the shape of your horse's neck and shoulder the best. So those are my recommendations for blanketing. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.